Hello, everybody. I am Deniece Smith of our Metaverse. Our Metaverse is a community coming together through loving kindness to experience our common humanity together. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that we get to share this time together. And I welcome you. I would also like to invite us right off the bat to set, and I'm going to ask you to note this somewhere if you have something to note with, maybe on your phone, maybe you can do it with writing utensils, but to set an intention, and motivation. So an intention is, what do I intend to do while I'm here? Or how do I intend to be while I'm here? Maybe I'm going to intend to be a good listener, to have an open mind, to see if there's something that I didn't know of that might be interesting. Maybe it's I'm going to share my truth while other people share theirs and learn more so I can love more. Whatever your intention might be, think about that for a second. And then your motivation is, why will you do that intention? Okay. So intention is, what will I do? We're going to come back to this intention and motivation 2 or 3 times during this. So I'm going to invite you to just be really clear with what is your intention for the next hour or so. Probably going to be a little longer than an hour. And then what's your motivation for doing that? The reason that we set intention and motivation is that it puts much more energy into our time here together than if we show up without one. I don't know, I'll go see what it is. If we say, I'm going to go, yesterday I was going to a dinner with people I hadn't met. I started feeling a little bit of kind of social anxiety about it. And so I just thought, what's my intention? What's my intention? And I thought, may I bring light? May I bring kindness? May I be a good listener? May I get to feel belonging so that we can all feel better about ourselves? And all of a sudden, this anxiety that I had really calmed down, and it ended up being this really fascinating, beautiful dinner.
Wow.
So that's where I'm kind of inviting us to set an intention with a motivation, and it kind of puts this energy into a focus. Does that make sense? You guys good with, clear on what you guys have as your motivation and intention? And then when we start off, we typically do what's called check-ins. Excuse me, you guys. So a check-in is where we take about 1 minute for anybody who feels like sharing. It's not a mandatory share. And we kind of go, what's distracting me from being 100% present right now with this? Like, I'm starving and I just really need a little snack, or this thing that happened to me today is still going on in my mind, or I'm not feeling so, something that might be taking away from just being really present in this moment. Do you guys want to start off with a check-in maybe? No.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so, all right, hold on, I'm turning on my jungle. Okay, so you want me to start with my intention and then the motivation, or
Oh, sure. If you want to share those too, that's great.
distraction? Well,
That's
okay,
great. You don't
okay,
have to
well,
share
I'll
intention
tell you
and
what,
motivation.
I'll tell you what my distraction was. I
Yeah.
have an Apple Watch and I keep getting texts which buzzes my wrist, and I finally had to take my Apple Watch off because I was like, "Oh, that's so annoying." Like I kept looking down to see what was so important, and I said, "Nothing is more important than this right now.
Nice.
Everything can wait." So, I my share is I have a lot of social anxiety, and and I hate public speaking. And sorry, now they're attacking my phone. My texts keep coming through. Um, and so I want to learn more about my anxiety and learn how others handle their anxiety. And then my motivation is to create strength in how I handle myself. Like when you said that once you gave yourself your intention and your motivation, then it calmed you down and that anxiety went away. And up until now, I try to acknowledge what my body is feeling and say, okay, I'm anxious. Yes, my heart is racing. Okay, but I'm going to be fine. This is all fine. This is all normal. But it still is overwhelming for me. Like my face will flush. And I think, going through menopause and all that stuff was also super distracting because you just feel like you look like, I don't know, you're going for a listing appointment and you go through a hot flash and all of a sudden they're looking at you like, are you okay? Are you going to pass out? Like, what's wrong
Been
with you?
there. Been there.
Yeah. So now I'm on a patch, which makes that a little bit better, but still, like that gave me more anxiety because I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, they're judging me because my face is 3 shades of red and I'm sweating on my nose and they must think that I have COVID or something.
On top of it. Yeah.
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 Thank you.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Hello, Rachel. Welcome. We wrote down intention and motivation tonight, Rachel, because we're going to just come check in with it several times during this. Do you want to share anything that you either what's distracting you from 100% paying attention right now, or I'm here, I'm 100% present. It's good.
Oh, am I?
Oh, Rachel came out. Or if you'd like to share what your intention might be, but that's very personal. So we don't share those unless it's by will that you say, hey, I just have this intention right now. Rachel's back. Is there anything you'd like to share?
I guess my intention, just coming here, I mean, not knowing really what it was going to be or anything. And I haven't really been out of the house or gone to something new in a long time. So I just thought my intention was to go and to learn and to just experience with other people.
Yay,
Yeah.
yay, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thanks.
Laura, you feeling all right? You want to share, or Rachel? Tonight we're learning a tool that helps us stay with the waves of emotion. Whether those waves be small waves or whether those waves be giant waves. Now, I am by hobby a big wave surf fan.
Oh.
So I bring that into the lessons a little bit. But they just so happen to go really well with the lessons because waves are unpredictable. Waves come in rhythms. There's actually a cause for waves. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're small. Sometimes the environment where the wave could form allows it to be an environment where only small waves can form or giant waves can form there. So it has a lot to do with understanding our emotions, understanding waves and different things. So if we're going to talk about learning about waves of emotion, the first thing I want us to do is just notice, what's my reaction to even thinking about that? You don't just say it out loud. Just ask yourself, when somebody says we're going to talk about the waves of emotion, boom, what's our reaction? And just try to see if you can be aware of what your thoughts were when that got brought up. Maybe you're asking yourself, is there resistance to that idea? Or am I like totally open? Let's talk about this, right? What does it bring up for you? Then just kind of now, I'm going to just invite us to pivot right back to our intention and motivation and check in with it again. Okay. We try to just be aware of what goes on in our mind. So my intention of teaching this lesson on R.A.I.N, which is an acronym that we're going to learn a little bit more intensely later, is to help you and myself all together as a group become more familiar with a process that we can use anytime in order to allow ourselves to be present with the emotions that are going on in us. Being present with an emotion demystifies the power of that emotion. I'm going to say that one twice.
Yeah.
Being present with an emotion takes out the scariness, the what's up, the oh my goshness. It demystifies that emotion if we can stay with it. Our instinct isn't always, oh, there's great sadness here. Let me hang out with it.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
It's more like, what can I do to not have that because it's overwhelming? So we're going to make some perspective changes around that, look at it from different perspectives to see why would we look at it from a different perspective? Why might we want to be with the emotion rather than avoid it when it's not a good emotion? Tonight's emotion that we're going to do this with is anxiety. When you hear the subject anxiety, see if you can think of 3 to 5 things. Now, I want to invite you to keep these small waves. Okay. 3 things that might cause you a little anxiety. And I'd invite you to write those down or take note of them. Maybe meeting new people at a dinner that I don't know is a little example of a little bit of anxiety. Maybe walking my dog who's not so friendly and people getting near him sometimes gives me a little anxiety. I guess one of the things we can put into our awareness or be aware of is that we all experience anxiety, right? There's not anybody that I know of that just doesn't experience anxiety. It's a very normal emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think of 3 to 5 things and just write 3 things down that, as we begin to practice this, we won't go for, jumping onto the giant wave immediately. Now, this can be done with joy. We can also get really into feeling joy and being with joy and allowing it to be here, okay? So this could be a series of different types of emotion that we learn to feel through this tool that's called R.A.I.N. Okay, so tonight we're doing anxiety. We do have an election coming up in the United States that I'm not going to be talking about politics tonight, but it's had its share of control over my calm. And I'm getting better with it though. Thank goodness. Although we'll see next week.
Yeah.
Ride the wave again and we'll see what happens. So as I love to do, I'm going to relate this lesson to big wave surfing. So as I mentioned previously, I'm going to say this again because it's huge. Staying with an emotion demystifies the power of that emotion. In big wave surfing, instinctually, the wave holds the power, right? we stand back and we look at this monster wave and we go, oh my God, it's so powerful. There's a wave in Portugal that's like the world's biggest wave. And when you stand back on this cliff and you hear these waves come, boom, and hit against this lighthouse rock and the earth rumbles, right? You're going, man, that has a lot of power. It's pretty insane. But with practice and intention, a person can learn to blissfully enjoy the big wave experience, turning the tables on where the power lies. Like, huh?
Yeah.
How is that possible? Instead of, let's say, a person serving the needs of the wave, stand back, get out of the way, do whatever it is, you do what you need to do, wave, right? We could now turn it so that the wave serves the need of the person. Believe it or not. We call this transforming the energy. It's a transformation of energy from the wave to the surfer. Does that make sense? Does anybody have a question with that?
I don't know how you would turn it if it, like you're at, you're standing like maybe on the lighthouse and this wave comes, which has all the power. It's kind of hard for me to think how would I change that so that I would have the power.
Yes. And I'm going to give you the hint that it wouldn't be by standing on the lighthouse and staying there. That to do more than stand on the lighthouse, for sure.
Get out of the way.
So we can do this with our emotions. When I hear Carlos Burley or Garrett McNamara, two of my favorite big wave surfers, talk about why do they surf these waves, they frequently talk about it takes 100% presence in order to do it. And how blissful it feels to be every ounce of your body in a moment. You're not thinking of something else. You're not thinking of the past. You're not thinking of the future. You're not giving yourself a guilt trip. You are right there, every part of you in it. They say this presence allows them to feel filled with life.
Mm.
It gives them energy. Now, for me, if I'm going down the wave, I'm imagining using energy, getting rid of energy, and they're saying it actually gives them energy. They like to say that they feel tapped into the source when they're 100% present like that.
They're part of it.
Right? Part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So we too can surf the waves with a giant grin on our face, even if they are emotional big waves. To do this, though, like them, we need to practice. Perhaps your future visual on this is that you are an emotional big wave master.
Yeah.
Now, let's take a pause and create that visual. You, the emotional big wave master.
That gives me anxiety.
Close your eyes. And imagine yourself just for a second as the master, maybe even the slayer, the the amazing controller, the leader, whatever word you want to, the master of emotional big waves. Now I'm going to ask a few questions. You can open your eyes as you wish. Does the image of yourself as a big wave emotional master come quickly into your mind?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you find yourself immediately coming up with reasons why it would never be you?
Yep.
What if it could be you? What if a giant wave that symbolized a giant emotion could be ridden and enjoyed by you, no matter the emotion? Do you feel resistance to this idea? If so, recognize it. Don't try to change it. If not, let that be also. Just be aware if there is or isn't resistance to the idea of you being an emotional big wave master. Ask yourself, would it harm you at all to create a visual that's really wonderful right here? I mean, it almost just brings you to laughter, like, I am.
Yeah.
It kind of goes against a story I may have been telling myself my whole life, like, good luck, lady. That's not you.
Yeah.
Right?
That will never happen. Right?
Like, not sure others would agree with that title you gave yourself, but go ahead and go for it.
Yeah. Good luck.
So just say to yourself again, I can be an emotional big wave master. So let's start towards that result tonight. Before surfers can surf big waves, they have to first learn how to swim.
That's important.
Okay? Before becoming the master of big emotional waves, we must first learn how to swim in emotional waters, not run from them.
Mm.
What swimming does is it gives motion to the dream of being the emotional big wave master. We're not standing on the lighthouse. We're saying, I'm going to get in the water on a calm day.
Yeah.
I'm going to swim. That's where I'm going to start. And our mindset when we get into that water might be, I'm starting. I am moving toward mastery. For me, that feels a heck of a lot more than I'm not going there.
Yeah.
We must first learn to sit with our emotions. That's what getting into the water is. Okay? Anybody have any questions or comments? So the next step, the surfers use tools to continue for their mastery is they use tools, right? They use their body to swim, not to float there, but to put something into movement. They use a surfboard,
Yeah.
right? And they use their mindset. That is a tool. They also use their intention, which is a tool. It starts to put energy into a direction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
with these tools, now they can paddle and kick and learn how to propel that surfboard. So now they're not just floating in the water and they're not just swimming, but they're actually going with the water a little bit now with that surfboard, or using it to learn more about the water. In the second step, they might think, I'm becoming familiar with the tools, right? I'm working to master paddling and kicking. Simple enough. And they practice many, many, many times. There's a sport called paddling, where all they do is get on a surfboard and like paddle, and it's a sport in itself. Carrie, actually, my husband, did that sport across the Monterey Bay, 37 miles. He paddled
my.
this. He got on TV when he ended. It's kind of, I think they're the first people to paddle across or something. They might be saying, I am working to master paddling and kicking. Not just doing it. But when they know that their goal is this, and that's this far towards that, they can't say, I'm going to try this a little bit and then jump over there, right? They have to master this to get there. So they practice and they practice and they repeat and they do it many, many, many times. And as emotional big wave masters, we must practice with our tools many, many times. The tool that we're going to use tonight is called R.A.I.N. It's an acronym. Again, it's going to come up and then we'll write down what the acronym means. So then surfers have to learn how to stand up on a surfboard. So do you think they go straight to the giant waves, or maybe they start with the small waves a little bit, right? That allows them to become familiar with the changing wave intervals. Now bring that symbolism into our emotions, right? Wave intervals. And that there are causes for these waves. Wind and weather and location, and there are different things that cause the waves. Same as with our emotions. We start to learn to study the weather. We start to learn to predict the direction of the wind. Okay? And so they become familiar with these waves, familiar as in also understanding that they are sometimes not predictable, ever changing, rhythmic, sometimes there, sometimes not there. Sound a little bit like our emotions? So then as we practice becoming the emotional big wave masters, we too will begin to learn the causes of waves, and we will notice more about the intervals. We will start to pick up on the causes. We will start to become masters. Okay. One day, as they paddle in rhythm with the wave, they attempt to stand up and they fall. And what do when they fall? They go back to the first things they learned to master.
Paddle.
They paddle, they kick, they swim. Right? And then so they practice standing up again. And they go back to what they first learned, and then they practice again. And the next thing you know, they're surfing these little waves. And then it starts to become fun. Now they're having fun. They are taking some control of this thing that they studied long enough to know, if I do this at this time, I can cause this to happen. Make sense? Now, breathing's a big key. If a surfer panics, when they fall off of the wave, it's going to create the possibility of drowning. So when we practice with our emotions, breathing is still a big key. It helps as another tool to regulate as we're learning to get up on that wave. When we notice the weather, when we feel the wind, when we can anticipate the wave, we can use our breath to help us stay calm as the wave comes. I remember this big wave surfer Twiggy at Mavericks. We were it was like an after party from Mavericks, and he's like talking in his beautiful South African accent, saying it's pretty trippy when you're out there and you're just you, and the next thing you know, this thing comes and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He's like, so then you just go, or so, but he put himself in the position to ride this wave, right? We may not choose to put ourselves into that position. So I don't know if you guys have seen the movie called Chasing Mavericks. It's a beautiful movie. And in the movie Chasing Mavericks, Gerard Butler is the lead actor in this, and he's taking Johnny Hesson, I think is his name, is the other actor that's in it, who's playing Jay Moriarty, who was this very heartfelt, loving surfer from Santa Cruz. And he's teaching him how to keep his breath held for a very long time underwater when a shark comes. And what happens is the actor of Jay Moriarty is underneath, sees the shark come. They were on like the 3rd minute of holding their breath, and he starts panicking. And there's this big lesson that if you can't control your breath, you can cause yourself to die underwater, right? So one of these amazing things, which is why we focus on our breath in meditation a lot, is because we can start to become really familiar with controlling it when it helps us most. And it helps us not panic through emotions. I hope you guys are okay with this terminology, right?
No, yeah.
So we keep it calm and we keep it controlled when we can. And we notice situations that cause us to want to have short, fast breaths or panic. So the surfers surf the waves many times. Sometimes they make it, sometimes they fall off, but all the while they are building familiarity through practice and through experience. And as we progress towards becoming these big wave emotional masters, we will rely back on our familiarity through experience, right? Sooner or later, they can surf big waves. And using what they learned, they can take the next step. Same with us. We can learn to stay calm through bigger and bigger emotions. It does not happen by pushing emotions away. That actually is a very good way that over time, through the years, helps that exact emotion grow. So the surfers take this as far as Mother Nature will provide. And I say provide because everybody's trying to surf the 100-foot wave. But so far, we feel like there's a toss-up whether Mother Nature has actually created a 100-foot wave. So the surfers haven't surfed it yet. So that's what I say, as far as Mother Nature will provide. What I like about that in this analogy that we're doing here is at a certain point, they don't get bigger. And that's in our emotional learning of this. At a certain point, they don't get bigger, right? So to get to this point, it took them even more familiarity and practice. It took them a group of tools and a group of people. They did not get there alone. They needed wetsuits that have flotation in them. They have flotation in the chest, they have flotation in the back, they have flotation in the haunches, they have flotation in the knees, they have flotation, and it's all this like foam flotation throughout these wetsuits. They can't wear a life jacket necessarily because it doesn't allow them to swim as well. But they have this flotation inside of their wetsuit. They also now have, thanks to Shane Dorian, who created this after a really long hold down at Mavericks where he thought he was going to lose his life. He created a wetsuit that has CO2 cartridges in it. And if you're held down underwater long enough, you can pull and go, and it helps bring you up to the water, up to the top of the water. Okay. So they're doing bigger and bigger feats, but not alone and not without tools, right? And they have an extra safety step of a teammate with a jet ski who's watching their every single move. Now there's waves where the jet ski takes you into the wave, but there's a wave where you paddle into it yourself and the jet ski shadows you to make sure that if something happens to you, they can go in and pick you up. So tools and a team get you to the point where you can go as far as you want to with something. So our goals on this path of emotional mastery are up to us. We can say, I'm happy with the 1-footer in Santa Cruz that has sand underneath it. I crash, I don't hit my head on a rock, it's all good. We can say, I want flat water where it's just snorkeling and I don't need the waves. We can say, I want to try something else, but maybe I want to do it on a kayak instead of on a surfboard. The choices are ours, right? And with emotions, the choices are also ours. And with enough resources, may everybody have the resources that they need, we can learn to surf any emotion with tools like this, with tools of breathing, with mindfulness tools, with meditation ideas, with friends, with being part of a group, with therapy, with whatever tools and people and teams, right? Some type of we did a class on the 3 jewels, which is some type of higher power that we believe in, some type of lessons that we learn to help us keep going and believing in good, and some type of group to study that with. We call this that group, our metaverse. Okay, anybody have any comments or questions yet? Because tonight we swim, babies. Who's ready to dive into the water? So what I've learned and what I tend to believe is in order to truly start to learn something new, it takes 3 steps. It takes studying that new thing. It takes contemplating that new thing. And it is very important to me in these classes that everybody understands you don't have to believe a word that I say. Okay? Question it. Be discerning. Disagree when it doesn't work for you. And put your own thoughts around it. If it doesn't work for you, reject it. That's a practice in itself. Don't believe me or whoever else just out of faith because they said that they are the all-knowing of that subject. Check them and see if it works with you, right? All right, why don't you take a minute to stretch or relieve yourself really quick before we start. And we're going to start with the acronym of R.A.I.N. I'm finally going to explain it to us all, so I'm going to press a pause for just a second. All right, R.A.I.N. So I learned this from Tara Brach. She is a meditation teacher, Tarabrach. she and Jack Cornfield were the instructors of my 2-year mindful meditation teacher training course. And we had R.A.I.N partners in this. Soon as we began into this program, we had a partner that we would practice once a week with, where we would just come together and do this exercise together so that we could practice and practice and practice and practice and learn how to swim and learn how to get to that smaller wave and learn how to, and a lot of times they say, so allow yourself to bring up an emotion. And I was so undertrained at that point that I couldn't even get to the point where I would let myself bring up an emotion. It was like, I don't know how to feel it and I don't want it here. So be easy with yourselves. Understand that intentionally feeling something is not innate necessarily, to purposely cause ourselves to have an emotion, especially when it's not joy.
Yeah.
Okay, the acronym of R.A.I.N stands for R, recognize. A, allow. I, investigate. And N, nurture. I'm going to add in here that it's my belief that it is not the survival of the fittest. It is the survival of the nurtured. So we're going to get good at nurturing so we can get to that next level and be the masters that we know we can be. We practice R.A.I.N in a meditative atmosphere so that when emotions come up in a non-meditative atmosphere, we are better equipped to know what to do with them. This is the magic of meditation. Okay? The way that I look at this is if we didn't have meditation, the only place to learn would be in the real world when the emotion,
Yeah.
let's say, zaps us. That's a better word than visual. Zap, here we go. It's here, right? But if we can bring it up and choose to become familiar with it when we are in a calmer state of mind, we can become much more masterful at that emotion than I tried to figure it out when everything was hitting me all at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Meditation was a very scary word for me when it first got brought up. Like I sat at the back door ready to leave the class. It's like, don't do that part, please. But I wanted to tell Rachel because she's been really rooting me on. I'm on day 47 in a row of meditating right now. So I'm really excited about that. So we can also use the practice of R.A.I.N when an emotion does surprise us. We can stop and go, oh, I want to recognize this. What is this? What is this emotion? Hang on a second. I want to allow it. Hold on. What do I need to know about it on the investigate? And how do I nurture this? We can use it in the moment, but it helps to be familiar with it before that moment in order to use the tool in that moment. Take a look at the list you made at the beginning of class. You made a list of things that give you anxiety. I'm going to ask you to choose one that might carry probably the least power at this moment, but it gives you anxiety. And now we're going to start the practice together. And so get yourself into a still place where if anxiety arises in you, that's what we're going to be intentionally causing right now, okay? You want your feet up? All right, now I like to do this with my eyes closed. When my eyes are closed, I have much less stimulus of what I visually interact with. And so it helps me feel in my body more when my eyes are closed. But you can choose to do this with your eyes closed or eyes open as you wish. Okay, so we're going to take a quick breath and relax into this moment. Know that you are being held in a group with the intention of loving kindness right now before we start into this. And then try to allow yourself to feel the anxiety of what you wrote down that causes you anxiety. Allow that feeling to be felt. Sometimes we say, allow that feeling to arise. Let it be here. Now we're going to employ the R of R.A.I.N. We're going to recognize that anxiety is here. And you might say, anxiety is here in your mind. You might notice or ask yourself, what physical sensations am I feeling? No judgment, okay? Not judging yourself, just recognizing anxiety is here. How is my body feeling with it? And labeling it, anxiety is here. And then maybe ask yourself, what thoughts or stories are running through my mind at this moment as I recognize anxiety? I'm going to move to the A, the allow. Allow this anxiety to be here without pushing it away. You're safe. You're here with us. Allow that anxiety to be here for right now. Allowing it creates the space for it to exist. It softens our resistance to it. Maybe you can even greet it. Hello, anxiety. Ask yourself, am I willing to give space to anxiety without trying to change it? And just keep observing. You might ask yourself, What would it feel like to accept this part of myself, even if it's uncomfortable? You might ask, can I let go of the need to fix it or figure it out right now? Is it possible to sit with an emotion like anxiety, even when it's challenging? How does it feel to think this too belongs? This might be a place to take a nice breath as we move into the I of investigate. Be curious about the anxiety. Maybe ask yourself, what most wants my attention or needs my attention now? What is the feeling asking for? You're investigating it. How am I experiencing this in my body? What is the experience of anxiety like in my body? What does this part of me believe? We'll move now into nurture. Become your own best friend in this step. You might put your hand on your heart. Might put another one on your tummy if it feels comfortable to do that. Might give yourself a little hug right now. Might just stay in your comfort where you are. And you might say to yourself, others have felt this way too. I am not alone. Others have felt this way too. I am not alone. You might ask yourself, how would I hold a friend who was feeling this way? Can I offer myself words of kindness as I would a dear friend of mine? Can I bring the same gentleness to myself? Can I not judge, but just hold? How can I offer myself a sense of safety and ease right now? And then be that best friend right now. Breathe in the nurturing of that best friend. We'll take about 15 more seconds in being the best friend and breathing in the nurturing of that best friend. When you're ready, we'll slowly come out of the water. You'll get a warm towel wrapped around you as you come out. You can open your eyes whenever you're ready. And let's take a few breaths. Mm. Mm. Just like surfers cannot surf without the waves, we cannot become emotional masters without the emotions. So when we get really good, we thank the emotion. We thank the wave. We couldn't have got good if it weren't there. And I would love for anybody to share what that was like for you, if you would like to. I can continue with two more suggestions, which is we might say, I'm grateful for you, anxiety. I need you to become the master of emotions. And we can add this altruistic part into it that says, so I can help somebody else who's going through it too. When you get really good, you could just say, let's surf.
Let's go.
How was that if you're still awake? Thank you so much. We did do our reflection on that meditation off camera, which allows us to be more candid. And so I appreciate that from you. As always, when we get together, I would like to ask for forgiveness. If something brought up something that was uncomfortable or felt really not okay with you, please forgive me. That was not our intention, my intention at all. This is a place where we're doing hard work amongst friends with an intention of love. And I'm hoping that our long-term results of any of this will just be liberating, let's say, please. If there's anything that you shared that feels like, oh, should I have said that? Or what did I say? Please forgive yourself. Don't judge yourself. This is the last place for judgment. And let's dedicate the merit that we got tonight by coming together. Now look back at your intention. Just check with yourself. Were you capable of hanging in there with that intention through this? Non-judgmentally, just say, wow, what did it feel like to have this intention, and the check back with that intention through it and at the end of it. We have the merit that we got, the positive merit that we got by coming together with such beautiful intention. Immediately go out to every last sentient being on earth, in the universe, in the universes, that they may benefit from this merit, that they may have less suffering, that they may feel part of something that is loving, and that they belong. May all beings be free from suffering, and may all wars end immediately. Thank you so much for being here again.